Hi, my name's Daisy and today we are talking about dun 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 Allegiant by Veronica Roth. Before I start this review, I'm going to kindly offer you a tissue, because you're going to need a tissue. So there's the tissue, and then you'll have an empty box of tissues by the end of it because you'll be in a pool of your own tears. That's what's going to happen. Allegiant is the last book in the Divergent trilogy, and it should be appropriately named the last book in the It's Going to Be the Death of My Emotions trilogy. 3 phases within Allegiant. So phase 1 is about the past and how things got created the way they did and how the city and everything else and all that, how that works. Phase 2 is actually finding out about divergence. So it's slightly different to phase 1 because phase 1 includes everything rather than this. And then phase 3 is the emotional side of this and figuring out the relationships between people and people, you know, growing up and getting on and kind of just having to be a grown-up in a situation that is really bad. And an additional phase 4, which is partly war. There were quite a few surprises in Allegiant that I found. They weren't just given up easily. There were some things that I was just like, I felt like I had been slapped in the face by a wet fish. Now, in Allegiant, we get to discover what is going on in the bigger picture of things, which is really interesting. It's really exciting. There is a lot more information within this book. I think it takes a lot of a different path to the first 2 books of just the way it's written and the way that the storyline kind of develops. It is certainly a lot more you need to have your brain switched on for. You can't just read through it and whiz through it. You do have to actually absorb the facts that Veronica is actually giving you in the storyline. And the whole controversy of it all, and Veronica has had people give her death threats and she's had people pay her, trying to pay her to give a different ending, which I think is absurd. That this story, it is a lot more emotional, it's a lot more ballsy than other young adult books, but you have to kind of look at it and go, this is actually a realistic book that is to do with a dystopian and war and this kind of stuff would happen. Ultimately, we do get to have an unveiling of why we have divergence and the factions and the city. Allegiant is told from the perspectives of Triss and Thor. They have alternating chapters. They have a lot of thrills. There is a lot of loyalties that are tested. There is a lot of character development, and it's really, really gritty because we get to see from both sides of the opinion. There is just a new take on this last book that gives you just a little bit more insight to how things are for other people that are also suffering through this period. Now let's talk about all the emotions you're going to feel in this book. Loss, betrayal, laughing, eyebrow waggling, determination, tears, lots of tears, love, sacrifice, courage, strength, and crippling feels. Enjoy. After all, it is a really captivating book. I felt that Veronica Roth really did this series justice. Although there has been a lot of controversy sparked by this book, I personally really enjoyed it. I am not on the fence about it at all. I will openly say I absolutely love this book. I felt that they weren't just teenagers anymore, that they really had taken that step and they were starting to make more adult choices. They were starting to think about how their feelings and how their emotions and how their actions would affect other people, and once bad things did happen, they actually had to look and go, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. That was not the right thing to do. And let's be honest, now all of you want me to talk about the ending, so now is phase 2 of the video, and this is spoilers, so I'm going to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now there's going to be spoilers. So goodbye people who haven't read the book. I cried a lot at the ending with both Uriah and Triss. I really, really did cry, and they even have the footage to prove it. So let us play. Before I put my thoughts on it, let us just see in real time how upset I was about this book. Oh my god. Oh, it's so horrible. Veronica Roth is deliciously evil. I honestly don't think this book can get any crueler. It's just one thing after another at the end. Oh my god, no. This is taking a long time to finish. No, I'm doing the... No. Oh no, I'm trying to read a page. Can't do it. This is so emotional. I feel like I've just been kicked in the heart. I mean, now my nose is crying. I managed to get through having no spoilers even after that leak really early in Canada, and I was overwhelmed, and I was crying and I was shouting, no, oh my god, what's happening? There better bloody be Dauntless cake in the afterlife, because I don't think I'll be satisfied for Uriah if there is no cake at all, because that is just unfair. And Tris, oh my god. Oh my god. Just, I've read Veronica Roth's piece of writing that she did, the paragraph that she wrote about having Tris's death and everything else, and explaining why she did what she did, and I do feel that what she did was very justified. It was very true, it was very gritty, although I was really pissed at her character at first, and I was just like, why? Caleb, just no. But it's, after all, even if you're really angry at someone and you feel the betrayal, at that moment when you realise you're going to lose them, that's really when it kicks in and you go, hey, I might actually love them after all. And some situations, someone has pissed you off so badly that I think that just wouldn't realistically happen. But after she's had her parents give her life for her, she doesn't want Caleb to just go in there unnecessary when she might be able to fight it. It kind of was a bit sad that she died from bullet wounds rather than the actual death serum. At least she kind of got that sort of, I don't know whether her mum was a ghost or whether it was a sort of a, I don't know, hazing out and her brain was, I don't know, I just want to think that it's an afterlife and her mum was actually there, because I think that's nicer. I think that's something that you make your own conclusions about rather than being told. She took a massive leap, and although I feel like I have loved and missed Tris, and it feels just, I have her on my back actually, I have the book cover on my back, so basically I have Tris on my back, so I kind of feel like she's still with me. But even though she's not a real character, this is the whole point of books, because you make them feel like you're connected with the characters and that you feel their love and loss and pain and happiness and everything else. And the fact that you actually miss her and you feel like she was a real person and that she lived and everything else, even though technically if it was real, she wouldn't even be born yet. So just think about that when you're upset. Just think she's not even born yet if she was real. That's how I got around to stop myself crying. But the reasoning behind why factions exist, why Chicago existed, why all these bubbles existed, and how they were trying to just improve the human race, and although it seemed like they were playing God, I felt that it was an interesting concept of people being too selfish and things like that, and they just thought that it's in your genes. I felt an interesting world was created because of all this genetic malfunction with the GDs and the GPs, and I felt interesting also that there was GDs out in the world and there were parts of people where they weren't living in a Chicago bubble kind of thing. I felt like Veronica was very subtly saying that there are discriminations in the world, and it can be something to do with your genes or your skin or something else. Whatever it is, there's always people having a discrimination because one person has something different to the other person. And what is it with the name David? Any David that I have ever read about or even met particularly, they're never quite just averagely human. I felt it was nice that Chicago wasn't ignored, that there's still that whole Evelyn and Marcus thing going on in behind the background. Once the explanation came out for all the serums and the death serum, I felt that there was a lot more darkness to the genetic compound, and that all these scientists and things like that they would actually make something that would kill a majority of people if they wanted them to. Obviously the death serum is part of what Erudite was going to use, but the fact that they actually had created these serums and that it wasn't Janine, you kind of look back in your brain and go, hey, Janine wasn't actually that bad, she was just kind of doing what she was told. It kind of gives you a new light. So although there was like this victimization that she was causing, now you sort of look and think, well, maybe she was actually the victim in the situation. That's probably a bit of an unpopular opinion, but let me know what you thought of all that, because it certainly changed my light on Janine. The epilogue, I say with sad shoulders that are dipping from the sadness, that absolutely just, it made me burst into tears, it made me cry. The fact that Shauna was mentioned, and that was nice because we got a bit of closure, and the fact that Uriah and his funeral, and I felt that the ending with Tobias going down on the rope, it was a really fitting ending to something that was so sad, and that the fact that it was based in a couple of years advance, it kind of felt that you could get the mourning over and done with, and that he was then ready to really let this girl that had made a huge difference and impact in his life finally go and let her just sort of be free. That was what you needed. You needed an epilogue that was set quite a bit in the future to be able to know that there was a change in the world, that it wasn't just for nothing that Tris died for. shining the light on the whole change that created in this world and how the culture clash went and how the war and everything else, it was all very just real, and the timeline of events that would have happened, and the fact that people who would have been like scientist compound people now living in Chicago and stuff like that, there would have been a cultural clash, and you know, people would have struggled at first, there would have been a lot of problems, but it seems settled out now, and it's kind of they're getting on their feet, and the world is starting to sort of recover from this kind of crazy situation where people were very discriminative. I'm glad Veronica Roth gave us such wonderful characters, gave us Triss, and gave us this journey that helped us grow as readers. And I am glad to be one of the brave. If you've read Allegiant, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to get a discussion going on the book because I just think it would be really great to hear other people's opinions. So thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and happy reading. Bye bye.